there's this sense of digital overload.
Going, hang on, I don't want my whole world to be consumed.
Viewership was already going down. Now you're all going, we don't want to be on a smartphone anymore.
That would get lost in the sea.
There's still something about the physical experience. The return of Blockbuster video seems to be on the minds of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I was reading an article the other day, basically, that said a lot of Gen Zers particularly, right, want to revisit or explore that period that they missed out on, right? It's almost like at the moment there's this sense of digital overload for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's not just Gen Zers in particular. Lots of different sort of age ranges are going back to this. Kit Kat. They did a pop-up store in Soho. It was Kit Kat and Blockbuster. And the concept was you came down, you got to have a look on the shelves at, films, pick one, go up to the counter. They give you get a Kit Kat and you get a digital code and you get to watch the film online.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
And it was just because apparently something like 4 in 5 people, they were saying that they spoke to, one of the high street stores they missed the most was Blockbuster Video.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think there is something in that. Nowadays it's easier than ever to watch movies and watch TV series. And when it first came out, when Netflix was first coming out, when it really started to pick up and streaming services really became a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody was super excited by the ease of access.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But what we're missing now is there's that almost like ritual of, okay, we're going to go and make a thing of it. It's too easy to just switch on the TV and just watch a film now and then go, I'm not really interested in scrolling your phone.
Yeah.
Whereas when you went and rented a DVD or when you went and rented a VHS, which I still remember renting a DVD. I am not too young to not remember that.
Yeah.
But there was something in that ritual of going out, picking it, coming back, sitting down, getting the popcorn, all of those, it was an event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And do you remember you'd get the DVD and you'd walk up and you'd have the popcorn in the baskets, you'd have it all there. So it felt like a movie theater experience.
Yeah. And I think in the same way that the cinema, going to the movies is an event, we're kind of missing that now from our viewing habits. And I think there is something to this idea that we maybe should go back to something like that. I don't know if I don't think it will ever be the same, but there really is something it's why, you look at everyman cinemas.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Those are doing really well because people don't go to the movies as often nowadays.
No.
So if they're going to the movies and they're paying the prices, which
the premium of going to the films.
It's like, okay, well, I want to be able to sit in a really nice cinema. I want to be able to have drinks brought to my table,
nice food
brought to my table, sit in a plush sofa, because you're not going to do it that often.
No.
Right. So make it an event. And that's why that works on that end. And I get it, with Gen Z and younger kids, I understand there's that want to go back because everything's so easy to access and you sort of miss the flavor of, what the experience is all about and all the things around that experience.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely love what you were saying about it was like a real collective experience. And I like the word experience because I remember being like a teenager and it really was, even a little kid. I remember your parents take you to rent a film and you could spend over an hour in there, all hunting the aisles. But when you all collectively came together and went, we're going to watch this, I don't know, the latest Mission Impossible or whatever it was, it felt like, wow, I'm so excited to rush home, get the popcorn, get the snacks, get this into the DVD player or VHS player and watch this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's something in that. I mean, I remember having a birthday party and we invited all my friends round and it was all the girls and we were all having a sleepover, and part of the birthday party was we were going to rent a DVD.
Yeah. So amazing.
I think we rented Spy Kids.
Yeah. Great film.
Yeah.
Great film.
We went from memory. That was what we went in. But I remember the experience of going to the DVD store and going with all the girls and we were picking out movies and I was like, this one, we all settled. And that is something that you just don't get that anymore.
No, absolutely not. And I definitely get this idea that I've been seeing about overload.
Yeah.
Right? This sensory overload that does happen online because you say there's so many channels, there's so much content creators. I mean, there is so many films and TV series pumped out by various networks now that you lose what you've been watching, what you
Yeah.
haven't watched. Like
Yeah.
the amount of times, I mean, the recap is like a big thing on YouTube now, where it's like, oh, well, I watched that show. I did watch it, but like I can't remember it because I've watched so much since that time, and so much time has passed, and I've been like pumped with so much more information that I need to go, I need to have a recap of what happened.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. I wonder if shows like Friends, if they came out today, would they still be as popular today as they were then? Because Friends was, an appointment viewing, right? It was classic the way, watching on TV, comes out once a week, you get a new episode, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether that would get lost in the sea of all the content that's currently coming out at the moment. Because it feels like, with those shows like Friends, they had so many more episodes, right? They had so many more episodes. They ran for so much longer. It was like you could rely on having, the next 17 Fridays you would be watching.
Booked. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas nowadays, series are shorter.
Yeah.
You jump from one series to the next. You're watching more series, independent series, but the series, you're not watching them. So you tend to forget in between. I think that's...
And also there's like big gaps in productions a lot of the time nowadays.
Yeah.
Like you look at Stranger Things 5, that's still not here. It's been a few years.
High-end TV.
Been waiting for it. Yeah.
High-end TV now is so much more of a thing than it ever used to be. It's always been around, but, the budgets weren't there, previously. And that's because high-end TV brings in the viewers. I get why. They, it's not a comment on it being necessarily a bad thing, but it's shifted and changed. So I can kind of understand coming back to, Gen Z and not necessarily wanting to be on social media or, going with analog phones. And,
the analog phone thing. Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
That is another amazing thing because I remember, as do you, we're of a generation where the Nokia brick was like, we all had one of those Sony Ericsson Walkmans. Oh, I remember being like the coolest kid, feeling like the coolest kid ever with one of those phones.
A whole different type. No, everybody had different types of phones.
Oh yeah. Motorola, Razor, the flip phones. I remember every girl at school had one of those.
The pink phone.
The pink phone, yeah. And again, Gen Zers are pushing now. They're calling them dumb phones. And it did get me thinking about, how much the big studios have all invested lots and lots of money on being able to format film and TV into phones, right? Digitally. And in one breath, right, loads of people, much more people watch stuff on their phones nowadays than they ever did before, as opposed to on the TV or in a movie theater. However, now we've got a wave of people regressing even from that. You're going, okay, well, viewership was already going down. Now you're all going, we don't want to be on a smartphone anymore because, again, people feel sensory overload.
Yeah.
That generation in particular have spent their entire lives on social. So, and in the digital space, it's always been with them. So it's this retreating feeling of I have to get out of this and I have to have more, like a phone that just, I can play Snake on it and I can, listen to music and text friends and call them, but I can't go on the internet per se, really.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it used to be the outside world was the place that was overwhelming. You had all the ads because everybody was looking everywhere. Conversely, you've got on your phone every 2 seconds, wherever you scroll, there's an ad. So I can kind of understand it. But then if we've got a whole generation of people who are going, I don't want smartphones, we're just going to go back to, oh, okay, well, then we need to be putting ads up in
100%
in real life. The pendulum swing has really gone quite far with social media and how everybody is very much within their phones or their devices and aren't really so much out in the world anymore. Not because not for a lack of want, but more from just the way the world is, right? And we kind of peaked at that point, I think, in 2020 with COVID, where everybody was stuck indoors. There was nothing for you to do. There was nothing apart from being sucked into your phone and into the world of social media, because that was the only way you could communicate
with the world. Yeah, of course.
And then as we're coming out the other side, I feel like the pendulum is starting to swing back the other way, and it's starting to settle a little bit more. And people are going, hang on, I don't want my whole world to be consumed. And I think in a world where we've also got AI, which is coming in, it's kind of...
It's interesting, isn't it? I was going to say that as well. I'm glad you brought that up. So we've got AI in one sense, which is now being used in films,
Yeah.
high-end films, using it, and it's producing amazing things.
Yeah, well, I mean, copyright's going to be interesting, but yeah, go on.
That will be interesting. Who owns this? Don't know.
Yeah,
The computer.
AI.
Yeah. The Terminator.
Yeah.
So you've got this, you've got this advancement in one technology, which, is here to make all of our lives easier. It's to make filmmaking better, stronger, cheaper, faster.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. But then you've got a whole generation that are going, but we want to regress.
Yeah.
So it's this balance, isn't it?
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I mean, I think I think we're going to settle in the middle. I think we kind of have to, because I don't think there's a world in which we can be solely consumed by tech and social media and those kinds of things for digital content. It's why theatre still works.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
It's why theatre still works. So I think there's
still something about the physical experience. And it's like what you touched on with Blockbuster Video, right?
Yeah.
Back in the days, it was that experience. It made us feel something. It made us feel connected.
Exactly.
And in a world where, it's kind of like in a world where the digital world is meant to make us feel super connected, it's almost made us feel too connected in some fashions.
Yeah, totally.
Anyways, go on, moving on. God,
Moving
we'll
on
answer that one another time.
all the existential questions.
Yeah.